Making butter in the 21st century is easy. The hardest thing is getting good ingredients. But they're simple ingredients, they're just two. What we need is a high quality fresh cream and a high quality salt. In this case, I'm using my favorite, Celtic sea salt, and I'm using wonderful fresh cream from the farm. This is a cream that is alive. It has not been pasteurized, which means that our butter is going to be alive, full of enzymes, incredibly rich, nourishing, and delicious. I always say get the highest quality ingredients, in this case, the least possible pasteurized cream you can find. If you do get to go to the farm and get some cream, or you belong to a co-op like I do here in San Antonio, and you're able to get cream through them, usually it's probably going to come in some plastic container. What you want to do as soon as you get home is transfer that into pint glass containers like this, because the cream will simply last longer. If you leave cream or milk in plastic containers, it will get bitter fast and it will just go bad faster. We're also going to need a spatula, some containers, both for the buttermilk and for your butter. I may need one more of these, I'm not sure yet. And you need a food processor or a beater. You can use this to make butter as well. This is the first thing I use to make it. Let me tell you something about the beater, okay? Let me just say that in colonial times, women and children used to spend the entire day making butter. It was a super strenuous process. There was a contraption, plunger-like machine made out of wood, which then evolved into a crank type machine, and they used to crank and crank and crank for hours to make butter. Thanks to technology in the 21st century, it will not take me hours to make butter, it will take us minutes. Now, if you happen to have both a beater and a food processor, you must use the food processor, okay? If all you have is a beater, that's fine. You can use this. It's perfectly fine. This is the first thing I ever used to make it. But let me tell you something right now. It takes 3, 4, 5 times longer to make butter with a beater. And this is a decent beater, okay? This is a pretty decent beater with some high speeds. It takes forever. Okay, maybe not forever, but forever in the 21st century, okay? You'll see how quickly we can make butter with a food processor. I used to be pretty intimidated by this machine, but I have since learned to appreciate and use it for its sort of wonderful ability to make things easier for me in the kitchen. The key to amazing butter, of course, is cream. The higher quality the cream you get, the higher quality the butter you are going to get. The tastier it's going to be, the more nourishing it's going to be. So I'm going to pour, oh my god, look at this, just delicious, absolutely creamy, incredible cream. I absolutely love cream. It's actually been difficult. It's been extremely hot summer for Texas, and the cows have not been making cream. It's too hot. I did not have this problem in Nebraska when I lived there. So I haven't had cream for a while, and suddenly there was cream available this week and I jumped at the chance. Excited to make butter for you guys. Okay, so I made sure I got the cream from the lid. You don't want to waste anything. This is just incredible. And now what I have here is a quart in 2 pints, and I'm going to pour that into the food processor. Okay, boom. Actually, I'm only going to make a pint. I have a quart here. I didn't remember what I did last time, so just in case I had an extra pint. But 1 pint is what we're going to make today, and it'll be plenty. Okay, I have to get this out and show you guys just how delicious this looks. I get so excited making butter. It was so exciting the first, well, after I slaved away with the beater for a long time and then figured out how to use this, it was really exciting. Okay, so I'm only going to use 1 pint. We're going to Close the food processor. Boom. And we're ready to make butter in the 21st century. Now pay attention because this is quick. I'm going to start with the pulse. I'm not going to just turn it on, okay? Because this is going to go fast. We're going to see. I'm going to kind of pause and then talk you through it. Wait a minute. Okay. My blade is not on properly. I guess it was. Sometimes these things happen. It didn't sound quite right. Okay, we're gonna start over. Okay, you can hear the sound starting to change. Woo. Okay, pause. Okay, that was what? That wasn't even 30 seconds. Maybe it was 30 seconds to a minute, but that's it, okay? I'm going to open it. I don't think it's quite ready yet. Woo! Well, oh, am I wrong or what? Okay, that was a minute, guys. Not even a minute. And I just made butter. I just made butter. I am so excited. Every time I make butter, it's like pretty much a little miracle in my kitchen. It is so easy. That was not even a minute. I have to say that again. I have to say it again. Okay, now let me show you the miracle. This is what it needs to look like. Boom, butter and buttermilk, okay? Okay, so I took away the bottom part of the food processor because it was in the way. Now we have our beautiful butter and buttermilk. Now let me tell you something. When I first made butter, I was freaked out. I had no idea what to expect, how long I needed to, pulse or turn the food processor on for. Same thing with the beater. When I did it with the beater, and by the way, this took what, less than a minute. The beater will be 3, 4, 5 minutes before you get to this, maybe more. And that's why it was kind of unnerving the first time I did it with a food processor, and I didn't get buttermilk. What happens if you go past this stage? Don't panic. This buttermilk will remix itself with the butter, and what you'll get is a whipped butter. Basically, a super soft. If you've ever had whipped butter, it's just extremely soft and delicious. It's just a completely different consistency, and you don't get the buttermilk because it kind of remixed itself. I have no problem with whipped butter, but I prefer regular butter and to get my buttermilk. But the takeaway here is that when you're making butter, if you make a mistake, the mistake will result in an edible product that is actually quite delicious called whipped butter. But today what we're aiming for is butter and buttermilk. So now I get my little container, and I can already tell I'm gonna need another one. Fear not, I have one right here because I thought that would happen. And here's my little container for buttermilk. Okay, super easy, guys, okay? You just pour the buttermilk right out of the food processor into my little jar right here. I'm going to rinse my spatula. Rinse it. I'm going to dry it. And now, here comes the fun part, okay? You get to actually touch your butter. So I just realized I forgot to put the salt. This also happened to me one of the first few times I made butter. I completely forgot to put the salt. This is perfectly fine. I'm going to try it right now. Oh my God. I cannot express to you how delicious that is, even without salt. I'm contemplating what to do since I forgot to add the salt, and this happened to me before. it just happened so fast. Literally, it wasn't even a minute, and I was so focused on making sure that I didn't go past the spot where you get that buttermilk separation, because it's so quick when it turns to whipped butter. So what happens next time when you're actually doing this, you want to add the salt before that separation point. So I would have stopped the food processor. I would have added the salt while it was still kind of in liquid form, and then continued, and then I would have had perfectly salted butter. I have already done this in the past, so I know it works. So for me, in this case, I'm going to have to add salt to my butter when I eat it, and that's perfectly fine because I mostly do that anyway. And what I mean by that is that if I have to buy a commercial butter for whatever reason, like I'm traveling, I try to buy, of course, the best kind that I can, grass-fed cows. Sometimes you're able to get live. It says it's cultured butter. That's what you want to get, but I always get unsalted unless it specifically says, well, if it says sea salt, I might compromise, but for the most part, I'll get unsalted and add my own salt to it. Another reason, Celtic salt is incredible, of course, is all the minerals you're going to get in your salt. Okay, so apart from the fact that I forgot the salt and I am a little bit embarrassed, we're going to continue. Just look at this, okay? This is perfect. How can I tell you this is perfect? And I just tasted it, and it was like heaven. And in fact, I'm going to taste it again. To die for. Oh, okay. So I'm going to add the butter to my container. Before that though, you want to make sure you press. Okay, you can see how as I am pressing this butter, more buttermilk is coming out. Okay, that's part of the butter making process, is you want to make sure you get all that buttermilk out. Now, earlier you saw that we thought, okay, she just got all the buttermilk out. Well, look how much more I'm getting now. Buttermilk, no. Jesus Christ. I am full of surprises today in the kitchen, okay? Thankfully. Don't do this. No big deal. I'm going to grab that. That actually was even more embarrassing than forgetting the salt, but more than that, it was painful. It was painful. I'm not even joking. This buttermilk to me is precious, and I just literally spilled a little bit of precious liquid. So don't be like that. Just be careful. Okay, I am determined not to be a klutz anymore during this video, okay? Buttermilk is safely away from me as I continue to press more buttermilk away from the butter, okay? Disaster has been averted a third time. Let's see if I can finish this recipe gracefully. Okay, look at this. Not even a minute, and I have beautiful, perfect butter. And I'm going to continue putting this here, and I'm actually about to grab a wooden spoon because, yeah, that almost fell on the floor, but it didn't. Seriously, I swear to God, once it starts, it doesn't end. Okay, the wooden spoon, I need more of that friction, that pressure, to be able to get that buttermilk out. A lot easier with the wooden sort of spatula. Okay, buttermilk. Buttermilk. Finish putting the butter in the container. I sometimes wonder what it would be like for a colonial woman to come here and watch me make butter in less than a minute in the 21st century. I think that's really cool. Technology today has allowed us the opportunity to be able to truly be healthy if we want to. We just have to make a little bit of effort, and sometimes we think things are harder than they are because we've lost touch with sort of traditional ways and ancient ways of doing things. Making butter was something that was an absolute must in old times. People needed butter and they made it. There was no other way. Now, of course, there are a million alternatives, but butter is still one of the most nutrient dense foods you can have, and it is just absolutely delicious. And realizing that making it is so easy is, I think, sort of a gift. Okay, I'm getting chatty, so I'm gonna get back to work. Okay, finishing my first container. A little bit of buttermilk, right, dripping, but it's essentially dense and absolutely delicious. So first container, there's a little butter in my hand. I'm absolutely going to eat it. Delicious. When I first had butter, if you guys don't know by now, what I mean by that is that I used to be vegan for 16 years, and I can't even tell you, and I say this about a lot of different things that I ate for the first time again, but there's something about butter that is just primal. It is so delicious. It is so meant to be eaten by us. Okay, what I'm doing right now is making sure I get as much out of the blade as I can. As you guys know, I don't like to waste anything. I also don't want to cut my hand. Okay. There's so many wonderful things we can make with buttermilk, and fear not, I will. Finishing it up. My second container, I had about this much. Nice and clean. Here. I still have butter pretty much everywhere right now. No big deal, delicious. I'll eat butter anytime, all the time. So here we have my 2 containers of inadvertently unsalted butter. As you know, we were going to add Celtic sea salt to this recipe, but I forgot because it's so quick. The process is so freaking quick. So it happens. It won't happen to you because you just saw it happen to me. Now, what's going to happen is whenever I eat this butter, I just have to add salt aside, and that's perfectly fine. My buttermilk, beautiful and delicious. So you may say to me, Olivia, okay, fine, I give it to you. It took a minute. That was kind of cool, but I still have to go through the trouble of getting fresh cream, and that food processor looked pretty dirty and kind of overwhelming. Life can be tough sometimes, but not in this case. Yes, you have to go through a little bit of trouble to find a source for healthy and good fresh cream. But even if you just go to the store right now and buy an organic high quality cream, you can come home and make butter right now. It's that easy. Cleaning, yeah, that is definitely, you can't avoid that. Okay, I have to wash that food processor, but guess what? Half of it goes into the, what is that called? Dishwasher. It goes into the dishwasher. Another modern marvel that helps us out in the kitchen, okay? Butter is delicious, absolutely life-giving, nourishing food. When you taste your own butter, unsalted or salted, it's gonna blow you away. It just is. If all you've been having is commercial butter, I'm telling you right now, your kids, your family, your friends, they're going to be wowed, like, wow, you made butter? That's so hard. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, maybe in colonial times, Maybe you don't have to make it so clear how easy it is to make, or maybe you do. But The point is, they will be wowed. Making your own butter is not rocket science. Seriously, guys, it's so easy, it's so worth it, it's amazing.